Hi, Ron. We're back with another question from a member. So far, this series has been amazing. The question is there a resurrection, or do we keep reincarnating into different timelines, depending on what the soul wants to do for its growth?
Okay, that's a good question, and let's address this again. A little bit of background. When you say, depending on what the soul wants to do for its growth, I guess there's a lot of truth to that, but it's really what your soul wants to do for you for your growth. Now, if we go back into the order of heaven, we have the soul, and the soul has a new soul has 12 extensions called soul extensions or personalities. And that's who we are down here on the earth. We're personalities, and we have a soul that is leading us and directing us so that we can gain the experience and the expertise, whatever you want to call it, to become a soul ourselves. And when we have achieved that, it's called a soul infused um, soul extension. So you fuse back into the soul, and then that's like you getting your graduation certificate, and you now become the soul and a soul, and you can have 12 soul extensions. This is the way the order of heavens is, and we call it the generations of the gods. A soul is a god. You can call it what you want. I don't care. Call it a soul, call it a god. You are a God self, but we don't use those kinds of terms here in third dimension. Why? Because we're not trained to do it. But it would be so appropriate if we did. But we have to kind of play the game with other people so we don't sound like we're so far out of there that nobody can touch us, or, you know, you've lost your tether to the reality. No, this is the truth. Is there a resurrection? Yes, there's a resurrection for those who go through the resurrection, getting your body back, and then you go into the higher realms as a resurrected being, and you perform your labors as a resurrected being. Many of our guides or our counselors that we will have during the redemption appointment, they're probably resurrected beings, still in service to mankind. They could be resurrected members of your own family. We don't know. What we do know is that that person will be just perfect for us, and it will have, if you really want to shorten the energy that's necessary for a real close relationship, then find somebody that you already know, and that would be a real good thing for you. And it could be a resurrected grandfather or something like that. We just don't know those kinds of things. We don't know our pedigree to the point where we have those kinds of family members who have resurrected. It doesn't matter. It'll just be perfect for each one of us. Okay. So the resurrection, Jesus was resurrected, and he had the highest light quotient of anybody who's lived on the earth. And it's very difficult at that level of light to be able to stay in third dimension. It's you have to tone yourself down. And Yeshua had children, and there was Mary Magdalene. He had to Mary Magdalene was at his level anyway, so she would go to the inner workings and meet with him there. And the children who didn't have that power, he would lower his vibration state and spend time with his children. And wouldn't that be exciting? Well, that's the way it is. And we're opening up to the reality that we can do the same thing ourselves, becoming resurrected, if that's what we want, we go through. I'm not, I haven't, I'm not sure in my life if I will be resurrected or just descend into the fifth dimension. It's all depends on your soul and what your soul wants you to do. That's your inner guidance system. And the reason that that is that way is because your soul has responsibility to put you through all the training you need to fuse back into him. It's his job to do that. There's no other job that's as important as that to infuse back into your soul. That's what the whole generations of gods is about. Fusing back into your soul, and then you become the soul and have children, and you guide and direct them so that they can be infused back into you. That is the organization of the heavens. So depending on what the soul wants for us, for our own personal growth, that's what we'll go through. And that's the preparation that's necessary for us to go through so that we can fuse back into the soul, your higher self. You have the oversoul who looks over your life, and that's your independent, and that's your inner growth, your inner directions that comes through your mind, comes through your imagination, not your mind. Oh, mind's imagination, but it's the imagination that is the vehicle that the heavens use to get to us. That's why children can see the friends that they have when they're young and oh, that's just your imagination. Stop that sort of stuff. Well, you're just shutting them down from being real. You're shutting them down and conforming to third dimension way of living, which is the Cabal's way of living. Your imagination is your most important thing that you can hmm, what would be the right word to say? Uh, Continue with, urge yourself to use your imagination. Let it become very active. That's where you get all your ideas from. But we're always we're it even when you're young, you're saying, "Oh, that's just your imagination. Stop doing that." Well, that's shutting you down. Don't let that happen. Now we get to accelerate our imagination, and through acceleration, we can get the things that we really want to do, want to have in our life. And that way, we're working in harmony with our soul so that we can go through the things that are necessary to infuse back to Him or them. In the higher echelons, the higher dimensions, the male and the female are co-located always, unless for some reason they separate. And in separation, it is painful. It's painful to the spirit. So those people who say I'd like to marry my soulmate, well, that's just one of 12, and they're very much like you, and it's not a romantic thing. People make it that way because they don't understand. Uh, we won't. I'm going around in circles. Um, Depending on what the soul wants you to do, that's going to be the thing. Those are your marching orders. And that will come through your imagination or through your mind, through your inner guidance system. I hope that helps.
Thank you, Ron. Thank you for clarifying that and bringing so many great thoughts into our heart. And we can use our own discernment, and it should help many. We'll be right back with another question from a member.
Okay.
Okay.